All right, can we, at 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Let it be shown that all directors are present. I myself in person and the rest of the directors on Zoom, but I don't see Mark. Right?
I do not see Mark either.
Okay. All right, so let the record reflect that Director Mark Roberts.
Use the phone number.
I don't see a phone number, do you?
If you want to pause for a minute, I can talk to Mark and see if he needs help getting logged in.
Phone number 900-2396.
This is Mark.
There he is. Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
All right, so all directors are present. All right, approval of the agenda. We're getting a lot of feedback. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, I would request that we remove item number 5, which was a presentation. The reason we're removing this is we have a meeting next week with the state, which is going to give us a better update on the status of why we were not selected for the grant. And I would also like to remove item 6D, which is the boundary issue. We have a lot of information that we still need to gather before we could present to the board.
All right, so may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move the
motion.
agenda with the changes.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Deborah, a second by Kathy. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
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 And any opposed? The agenda is approved. Number 2, public comment. Do we have any members of the public on the Zoom?
I do see a couple of other phone numbers on here. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak?
I have comments for later in the meeting. Thank you. Cheryl speaking.
Okay. That's the only other number?
May I ask who the other phone number is ending in 1661?
I think that's everybody. Just one. Sorry. Which one is that? I have a phone number ending in 1661. Do you wish to say anything?
Nope. Okay, so then moving on to community reports. Do I have anyone from CERT? I don't think so, but I do see Samuel from the supervisor's office. Hi, Sam.
Hi, everyone. How are y'all doing today?
Good, thank you.
Good to hear. Hope everyone's having a good start to the new year. Apologize I wasn't able to make the last meeting. As I let Kim know, I had some car issues had to be taken care of right away. But just to get into it, I don't have a huge update for everybody today. One thing I was going to bring up last time was the final supervisorial maps were approved officially by the board. They're just as we'd been expecting them to be. No changes for your area. You're still going to be with us in the first district, so you guys are stuck with me for a while longer. Sorry about that. I do want to correct myself. I don't recall, I believe the last meeting I attended, Director Johnson had asked about Wrightwood and whether that would be included in our district still, and I incorrectly informed him that it would not be, but Wrightwood will remain with the first district as well, so that part of the nearby area will remain with you guys. I don't see anyone from any of the other legislative offices, but I know there's going to be a lot of changes on those sides of things. I believe the congressional map, I think, will have Wrightwood split off from Phelan Pinyon Hills, and the assembly map will have your whole area split off from the rest of the Victor Valley. I think it's Phelan Pinyon Hills, Wrightwood, Oak Hills, maybe El Mirage, if I'm remembering correctly, will be lumped in with Pasadena. So that's a little strange, but that's on the assembly side. But you're all set with us to stay put with Supervisor Cook. Another big thing that I try to bring up every time is Operation Hammer Strike. I don't know if we have anyone from the Sheriff's Department later on who will probably cover it far greater detail than I ever could. But it's been continuing smoothly as we go forward. We just had, I shouldn't say we, the Sheriff's Department just had a few raids out in, I believe, El Mirage and Adelanto, the closest to everyone here. Continuing to do the good work that they always do, seizing these illegal plans, large sums of money. I believe there were 15 suspects arrested in the last week. I believe so. So we're very proud of the work our Sheriff's Department has been doing on this big issue for our communities. That's all I brought for you all today. If anyone has any questions, as always, I'm here. Yes.
Charlie?
Sam, I believe we're in a different state Senate district too, aren't we?
Did I put that in my notes? I believe you are going to be in a different Senate district than Apple Valley. Because Apple Valley is going to be cut off into Senator Ochoa Bogue's district. But if I'm remembering correctly, the rest of the Victor Valley, including all of you, will stay with Senator Wilk.
Well, he wasn't our senator before, but he is.
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my areas. You will be with Senator Wilk. I apologize.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to get to. That's what I was just going to confirm that.
Yeah, that's right. And all of the maps are officially finalized all across the board. So those can all be viewed online fairly easily.
Any other questions from any of the other board members? No? All right. Thanks again, Sam.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Do we have anyone from fire on the line? No. Okay. Mojave Water Agency. I don't think I saw anybody on there. Dr. Holman from the school district. I think I saw you.
Yeah, hi, President Kujawa. Good evening to all of you. Happy New Year, really across the system. I was with you not too long ago, right? Just before the holidays. Hope all went well for all of you during that time. But boy, what a change it seemed to occur from when I was here last time to now, specific to the start of 2022. That means a new semester, means kids are back in school. We are thrilled. Not as many kids as we would like, not as many staff members as we would like, because I'll begin the update with really, I'll start with Monday, January 3rd. That was a non-student day. It was focused on training for our teachers, really to support our students in this COVID-19 environment, specific to student engagement. So all of our teachers specifically got what we call Kagan Cooperative Learning Strategies training, which was wonderful. We did that virtually, and then we started school on Tuesday, which is just a day ago, believe it or not. It seems like a lot longer than that, Tuesday, January 4th. And I will tell you, from a staffing and student standpoint, not as many as we would like. And that is really due to the Omicron variant, to be quite frank. Just to give you some perspective, from December 26th, just after Christmas, to today, we've had 46 staff members be out due to the COVID-19 challenge that we're all facing with. That is probably 3 to 4 times the amount above normal, if you will, that we've, well, not even normal, that we've ever experienced. Students, over the last 2 days, we've had 33 students test positive. So those numbers, again, highly elevated. To give you more perspective, attendance, which normally has been trending this school year around 90 to 94%, which is lower than the norm because of this whole new environment that we're in. over the last 2 days, it's trended to 83 to 90%. So you can see a big drop off. Now, you may know that Governor Newsom had developed a plan to have test kits available free to all students in advance of the return. They have not come to our county yet. You've maybe read that. We're checking in on that daily. As of today, they still have not arrived. We'll get those out immediately once they get to the county, because we'll pick them up and then turn them right around. And those will be used. And there's certainly a hot commodity just really across the whole state and nation. But it'll be a very helpful, I think, extra measure of safety, so that eventually we can get to a position, hopefully, where those are used when the parents have concerns whether or not their kids did contract COVID-19 and can prevent them from coming to school. All that aside, we still keep pushing forward. And I guess I would just end, my statements here with I guess an appreciation for the entire Snow Line learning community. It includes all of you, but more specifically our students and staff members. Despite the challenges with COVID-19 that I just went through, it does seem that, our core values such as safe environments, we want consistent, predictable, positive, safe, nurturing environments, happened yesterday, and they happen today. I was on site providing extra support collectively, all of us just really linking arms to try to provide for the students in this tough environment. And it seems like they're responding. We do want a world-class education and make certain that our people matter. And it seems like we're endeavoring to do that despite these challenges. I think we're going to overcome this. I know we will together. That's going to be the only way that we do it. But it's a challenge right now. And we'll get through it. And we'll do it because we need to do it to serve the kids. So President Kujawa, I'll certainly answer any questions. I just thank you as always. And how about a special thanks though too, before I sign off, to Amy. Amy did very well to say, hey, Ryan, you know what, we're going to be in this format. So I just do appreciate you always do that. Kim Ward always did that for me as well. So thanks for supporting me that way.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Charlie?
Dr. Holman, it may be premature to talk about this. If not, we can talk offline, but I'm curious about the pending potential legislation regarding the changing of the methodology for funding school districts. You're on mute, Ryan.
Yeah, that's usually how people like me that way, is muted. I'd say, Director Johnson, that our position is very supportive of that. Just to give a quick differentiation, ADA, average daily attendance, that percentage number that I shared earlier, that is how funding occurs right now. We are advocates, and virtually all schools are advocates of being funded on an enrollment model, and that would be 100% of the ADA, or all of the students enrolled, and be funded on that model. Real quickly, the thinking on our side and why we support that legislation is that whether kids are at school or not, we certainly budget for 100% of the kids. And so to be funded 100% certainly supports that. And I would also say, even when kids aren't in school, we're providing services. Examples of that would be mental health crises, any sort of support we need to give them when they're not in seats. We certainly support that legislation that was just recently put forth.
All right. Any other questions? No? All right. Thanks again, Dr. Holman. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks all of you. Really appreciate all that you're doing. Thanks so very much.
All right. And then last but not least, Sheriff, do I have the sergeant on there?
Yes, good evening. Sergeant Paul Slur from the Victor Valley Station. Just some quick numbers. So from the Phelan area for the month of December, there was 690 calls for service with 78 reports taken. Out of that, there was a total of 20 arrests made. In the Pinion Hills area, there was a total of 200 calls for service with 26 reports taken, and out of that, 5 arrests were made. To just talk about a little bit about the ongoing marijuana search warrants, even today, myself and my team were out there serving search warrants today. We served 4 search warrants, made 4 arrests, eradicated just over 1,700 marijuana plants, seized 153 pounds of processed marijuana, and took 3 guns off the streets. Additionally to that, I know that the department's narcotics marijuana teams were out in the Phelan El Mirage area as well today. serving search warrants. I don't know how many exactly they served. I know they served at least 4 that I know of off the top of my head. It may be more than that. So we're continuing our efforts to eradicate the search warrant or the marijuana problem right now. What we are seeing as far as a trend goes is a lot of the outdoor grows are starting to go by the wayside right now, mainly because of the weather. But we are seeing an uptick in indoor marijuana grows.
All right. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sergeant. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You too. All right. So we will go on to number 3, consent items. Does anyone have any items that they would like to pull? Charlie?
I don't necessarily have to pull anything, but I do have a question on 3C, and it specifically has to deal with our purchasing policy. Perhaps we could address that in a different place.
Address it tonight in a different place?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it in director's comments. If that we could do it that way, that's easier.
Okay. All right. So if, can I get a motion to approve the consent items?
I'll motion.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
All right. So I have a first and a second. All in favor of the motion to approve this consent items?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, we had no matters removed from consent items. And we are passing on number 5, the presentation. So now we are on to 6A, discussion and possible action regarding 2022-2023 budget process schedule.
Thank you, President Kujawa. Each year, the staff completes a schedule for the budget process timeline, which is in the board package tonight. This timeline, along with the summary of the budget process, is published on the district's website, and a press release is issued in order to encourage public participation. So if you look on the next page, which is page 44, it has the different committee meeting dates and times, and basically the entire process for the budget up to June 1st, which is the board presentation and the hearing. Also attached is a copy of the press release. And staff is recommending that the board review the attached 2022-23 budget timeline and determine if modifications are necessary.
All right, does anyone have any questions?
Now, I would move approval of staff request.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, moving on to 6B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2022-01, establishing policies for board conduct amongst directors and with staff.
Thank you. Periodically, the district's policy concerning the relations among board members and staff is reviewed to determine if changes are necessary. The last modification occurred on September 4th, 2019, when the policy was amended to address the use of social media by directors. The policy is being brought back for review and adoption. No material changes were made, and staff recommends the board review and adopt resolution 2021-01, establishing policies for board conduct amongst directors and with staff.
All right, any questions? No?
Assuming legal has reviewed it and not added anything, I would move the item.
I'll second that.
And
All right.
have not added any changes, and I don't recommend any changes as well.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Then the motion passes. Sorry, my pages are all stuck together. All right. So moving on to 6C, review of ordinance number 2019-01, establishing guidelines for the conduct of district public meetings and activities.
Thank you. I was just looking at the date here real quick on that. I may have a question on that. From time to time, the district sunshine ordinance is reviewed to determine if any revisions are necessary. The last time modifications were made to this ordinance was November 18th, 2015, when section 2.5 was added concerning the cancellation of regular meetings of the board. The last review of this policy took place on January 2nd, 2019, and no modifications were made. Ordinance 2019-01 is attached for board review. Should the board determine modifications are necessary, a clean draft of the ordinance will be brought back to the board for review and possible adoption. So this is just the recommendation is for the board to review ordinance 2019-01 and comment if necessary.
All right, any comments or questions?
Yes.
Was that Ms. Roden?
Yes, yes. Am I recognized? Thank you. My comment goes specifically to 2.32 in the ordinance regarding public comment. And I don't know that anything needs to be changed so much as clarified perhaps, because you meet via Zoom and I love meetings on Zoom. I want to stress that. What occurs when everyone meets in the room is you put in a card to speak, but on Zoom, it's not clear really how to be able to be recognized. And the rules currently state that the chair will call on, but that doesn't really happen. And that's with respect to Rebecca. This is her first night as president, and congratulations on that appointment. So perhaps clarifying those rules a bit for those of us that are participating remotely as to how we can be recognized. Because I know even though I do participate in many meetings and appreciate the time you listen to me, there have been board meetings and committee meetings when I wasn't recognized. So I just bring that to your attention and hope you can come up with a process of some sort to kind of address that going forward. 2 more points. It would be great if consultant material that is submitted for consideration was submitted in advance, so that when you send out the packet, that material is there. And that's a question of just directing the consultants to do it, I hope. Because in the past, there's been a couple occasions when it wasn't available until after the discussion and presentation. So that would be terrific if you gave that direction to consultants. And then my only other point is that I know what it's been like for all of you and everyone with the virus, and now we're about to go through another major surge, but it would be terrific if recordings could be added to a website at some point in the future when everyone comes up for air. That's it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you,
If I may, Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Kennedy.
With respect to that, the first question, I think that's a very good point. And it was related to an issue that I was going to raise on with respect to this agenda item. And that is that AB 361 has sort of provided the ability of the board to have meetings remotely without going through the normal requirements for teleconference meetings. So in my view, there would be and the board has exercised and continues to exercise that ability under AB 361 with your recertification resolutions. So in light of that, my view is that this document, which is commonly called your sunshine ordinance, which reflects the board's commitment to transparency and compliance with the Brown Act, that maybe perhaps modifications are necessary to accommodate the manner in which the board is handling AB 361, to incorporate that into your sunshine ordinance. I think the point about public comment is a good one, but also that Board meetings may not necessarily, there may not be a quorum of the board at a particular physical location in order for board meetings to occur, such as tonight. So if it's okay with the board, I would like to maybe take a crack at modifying the sunshine ordinance to incorporate AB 361 language, and also to address Ms. Roden's point as well.
Yes, questions, comments on that?
So comment or question for Kennedy. So Steve, I mean, we have public comment that she can obviously speak. I know we've had other times that she or other people have also spoke regarding different issues throughout the meeting, or even at the very end of the meeting after everything's been done. What else do we do for that?
I think the board has, in my view, and from my experience with all of the board presidents that have served the district, is that there has been wide latitude given to members of the public to comment both during the public comment portion of the agenda as well as other action items on the agenda. So I think all of the board presidents that have served the district have really done a good job of incorporating the public comment and public participation into the meetings. The language of 361 does address the issue of public comment. And when meetings are being conducted remotely, what the board cannot do, and you don't, by the way, but what you'll typically see is some language in the agenda that says, okay, anyone that wishes to comment has to submit a notice to the administrator that they want to comment. Well, what AB 361 says is no, people have the right to comment all the way up until the end of public comment, because usually you would see, okay, those cards need to be in, say, 5 minutes before the meeting or something like that for administrative purposes. But AB 361 says for remote meetings, you can't do that. You have to allow public comment all the way up until the point in time in which the board, with the president, says, okay, are there any other public comments? So we cover that with the manner in which the board handles it. Right now, you've been more lenient on that issue than the Brown Act or even AB 361 on that, because you don't require comments, prior to public, a card prior to public comment. And the language of AB 361 also says if there's any problem during a technical problem during the meeting where there's inability of the public to see what was going on, then the board has to press pause on the meeting, and that technical issue needs to be resolved before the board can go on. So there are some protections built into AB 361 on that particular point.
Charlie?
Yeah, thank you. I think in my experience, having been the chair a few times, I think the issue is not necessarily in the first part of the meeting where we have public comment, but I think it's comments that are people want to make during the actual meeting on a particular agenda item. And I think the thing there is that I'll just speak for myself and not point fingers at anybody else. I'll just criticize myself. I think occasionally when I was chair, I would forget that public has the right to speak at a particular agenda item. And so it's a kind of a note that I would put on my agenda that says, don't forget, ask if there's any comments on this particular agenda item. And I think we do everything we're supposed to do. I think it's just a matter of remembering, oh, by the way, we need to ask if there's any comment on a specific item.
Good point.
Could I make one other comment quickly? I've collected a few agendas from other governmental entities that have kind of addressed this, and I can forward those to Mr. Bartz or Ms. Ward to pass on to Mr. Kennedy for consideration as needed. I'd be happy to do that.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Okay, so we don't have to vote on this because we're bringing it back, right?
That would be my recommendation, yeah.
Well,
The
the
attorney's
board would
recommendation.
recommend making changes.
Yes, yes, we all do.
I think the proper action would be to refer the item to staff for additions and bring it back at the next opportunity.
Perfect. Thank you, Charlie. All right, so we are skipping 6D. And moving on to 6E, update on the proposed Civic Center and Phelan Park expansion.
There's nothing to update on the park expansion tonight.
All right, thank you. So 6F, update on the status of negotiations for the consolidation of Sheep Creek Mutual Water Company into the district.
Yes, things are moving along with amazing speed as usual. We did have a meeting today with the water rights attorney that's been brought in to review some of the pre-14 rights that Sheep Creek has and how the shares can be brought over, whether they can be transferred. So there has been an attorney brought in for that. We met for about half an hour today, provided some information on the history of the rights, which will save that attorney quite a bit of time in the process of doing the evaluation. They said about 2 to 3 weeks before they have a report back on that. It should be a fairly short report. And then we continue on with the meetings until they come to some determination on what that looks like.
Okay. Any questions from any of the directors? No, all right. So then we move on to number 7, committee reports. Anything from Antelope Valley? No.
No.
Engineering?
Engineering, the report is in the packet if there are any questions.
Just one clarification on the adjudication. We can report it's public record. We made an appeal to the court so that we didn't have to pay for those 2 years that were in question about water rights, and our appeal was denied.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone have any questions on the engineering meeting minutes? Okay, finance committee.
We're meeting this month, I think, according to that schedule we just looked at.
Okay. Legislative?
We don't meet for another month. I believe we meet in February.
All right, Park and Rec, we meet again in, I think, a week and a half. And waste and recycling?
We have a meeting next week from tomorrow.
Yes, we do. All right, 8, staff and general managers report.
Wait 1 second.
Charlie, yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify, go back and look at the budget schedule. There are some special meetings in January because of the budget. So just be aware there may be some meetings before what people just said now.
Yes, yes, thank you. All right, sorry. Item 8, staff and general managers report.
I would like to thank Mr. Cardenas for his work on the separate engineering report. Thank you for that, George.
Thank you, George. He said thank you for the sending out the separate engineer report. All right, third time's a charm. Number 8.
Let's give this a shot. Are you able to share the slides on the screen? Just an update for the manager's report, and we're going to be sharing the screen here. Oh, yes. Okay. So over the past week or so, we've had a couple of major one major leak and one line coming from well 14. I just wanted to give you an update on that. So on December 29th, there was a 16-inch line coming out of well 14. This is the picture that you can see right there. And there was a reducer in the pipe coming out of that well, about 6 feet deep to the top of the pipe, 5 to 6 feet deep. And you can see that there was quite a bit of quite a bit of dirt that was moved to be able to access that, and for the staff to get in there safely. They were able to get that put back in place and repaired in one day. So that was a pretty major line, but the staff was able to do it quickly and efficiently. The second one was, and I have to commend staff for this one. This all started about 5 o'clock New Year's Eve, and this is on the far south end of the district, way up in a canyon. And you can see this was a 6-inch water line that was hit by somebody grading property up on Mescalero. This is kind of a remote area, and the line was hit, and the person doing the grading left and was going to go call the water company and never did. Within an hour, about an hour later, we had a call from the property owner and help. We had 6 staff members out there on the job site. They were out there till, I believe, 2 or 3 in the morning. So you can see there's this water line that you see in the pictures was about 6 feet deep by the time the erosion was done. You can see in the middle picture a piece of equipment that was abandoned by the person doing the grading. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the 6-inch line, which everybody's pictures in front of that. But I believe in the line, you can see where they actually hit the pipe with one of the forks on the front of that loader. We lost about 125,000 gallons of water. They were able to catch it before the tank went dry, which was able to save us from having to do some boil water notices. And I'd just like to commend staff on the job that they did. They were out there, had everybody back in service. I believe there were about 100 customers that were out of water for a period of time. Around midnight, they were back in service, and immediately after they fixed that repair, about a half a mile away, one of the seals broke at on one of the connections to the tank, and they had to go out and repair that. So they were out there most of the night. An amazing job. I don't know how these guys get these things fixed, not only in the middle of the night at 32 degrees in just the mud. Just a wonderful job that the staff did, and we're back in service. We have turned this into SDRMA, our insurance company. We were on the phone with them right after the holidays due to the nature of the damage that was done. And they will be taking it from there. We created a new job to this. We know how many man hours, how many vehicles were out there, and what the costs were to the district. The next, I guess it was by the time we got back into work on Monday, we had an area of low pressure, which was caused by air that got into the line in between the tank and the services, which were about a half mile away. Staff again fixed that. Everybody's up and running, and the insurance company will be having a conversation with the people who hit the line, and it is known who did that, so they will be contacting them. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer, but that's the only thing I'd like to add to the report.
Charlie?
Don, I think you just answered the question, but we do have possible recourse against the operator.
Yes, and the insurance company will be taking care of that. We've provided all of the documentation. There was not a current dig ticket on this, so they did not call in to see if there was a water line in the location. It had been marked about a month and a half ago when Race came through there, so there you could actually still see blue paint in the street or on the side of the hill. It's not really a road, very, very steep to walk up, but it was marked, but there was not a current dig ticket. The property owner, the the operator is going to be responsible for the damage.
Yes, sir.
Question?
This was not on a well. It was on a tank up on the far south end of the districts. And it would be kind of the southeast of Beakley Road all the way up at the top.
Mark, was that you? Go ahead.
Yes, question, did SCADA alert the staff?
It did. They did see the water level dropping, and it was about the same time that it was called in. It looked like maybe it was a slower leak at the beginning, but it escalated quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Great job, everyone.
Yeah, nice work. All right, so we're
Sure, be
moving
sure and
on.
Pass that on from Mr. Bart's pit. Please pass it on to the staff. That was excellent work. Most of this stuff nobody ever knows about.
Right, I sure will. And for everybody to be available and ready to work at starting at 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve is quite amazing to have 6 people ready to work.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. Thank you so much. All right, we're moving on to number 9, directors reports. Deborah?
I attended the TAC meeting on the day after our last board meeting. I don't remember the date. They mentioned a letter that was being written for the hexachromium 6 issue about economic disadvantaged communities and how it's going to be too much of a burden on them. And that's it, other than celebrating holidays.
All right, Mark?
Just a question about the future meetings here in the near future. Are they going to be all phone in Zoom, or are they going to be meetings?
Do we have an answer for that?
Yeah, I believe they're going to be in-person meetings. This was just a series of unfortunate events for tonight, with Mr. Fish being unavailable. And we should be back to normal by the next meetings.
He needs to get well in 2 weeks.
Yes.
All right, Kathy?
I have nothing to report other than congratulations and sorry you have to have your first meeting on Zoom. But you're doing great.
Thank you so much. All right, Charlie?
I just the obvious is everybody have a great new year. I think we have a very interesting and active year in front of us, so I'm looking forward to that. But back to my question on the purchasing policy. I noticed on 6C, or excuse me, 3C, there were several change orders. And I scanned the purchasing policy, very, very quickly. But I would maybe ask Mr. Kennedy or staff, I don't want an answer now, certainly not now because it's off the wall. But what is our policy with regard to change orders? I know we have a basic purchasing policy on the amount of the purchase order, but what about the change orders when, in this particular case, there was two change orders totaling $14,000 that were added to the original purchase order. So I don't want an answer right now, but maybe at the next board meeting, we could put it on the agenda for an answer about what do we do it, because I couldn't find change orders anywhere in the policy. So just a question for staff.
Okay. And president's report, I have nothing to report, but thank you all for bearing with me on my first meeting all on Zoom. All right, number 10, correspondence. Anything new to add except for what's in the packet? All right. So number 11, review of prior meeting action items. Do we know if there were any?
I don't believe that we had any, but I can confirm that. As of right now, I don't believe we had any from the last meeting.
All right, and current meeting action items? There were none, right? Actually, we're bringing,
Bringing back
question on the
6B
policy.
and the policy.
correct.
Yeah, I think both the purchasing policy, and perhaps we might want to fold in the annual review of that document with the question that Director Johnson posed,
Mhm,
as well as the sunshine ordinance.
correct. So we have the purchasing and sunshine. All right. So then item number 12, set agenda for next meeting, January 19th, 2022.
Okay, as of right now, we will have those items on the agenda. And we will, should have the information back for discussion on the boundaries for the CSD.
All right, Charlie, go ahead.
There was one other outstanding action item. There was a comment in the previous minutes we approved tonight that there would be a review of the strategic plan sometime in January. It sounds like that may not happen.
Yes, that may get pushed back a little bit because a lot of it is depending on some of the proposals for the construction or the cost breakdown for the construction on the park. So if you could bear with me for another week, I'll have an answer to you whether we can have that information together in time for the next meeting in January.
Thank you.
And with that, do any members of the board have any other items they would like to add to the agenda?
No.
Nope.
All right, so with no further business before the board, we are adjourned at 6:47 PM.